endangered whales washed up on New York and New Jersey beaches.
Activity related to offshore wind energy farms, such as surveying, could be a factor.
Federal environmentalists confirm 23 dead whales have washed up on the East Coast shores since December.
Your first racing, bro.
Just turn it, so I'm gonna go on this side of them. Good idea. Bring it to a dead stop.
And I mean, that's the ship you wanted to see, too.
Yeah, it is.
That ship has been noticed in roughly the same time period that there have been beachings.
I saw this captain post something. He said in his 20 to 25 years on the ocean, he's only seen one dead whale. I think it was like 2 months ago, he saw 3 in the same day. Yeah. 3 in the same day. Yeah.
Come on, bud. So living in southern New Hampshire, the forested area directly in back of my home was raised to make way for homes, and I wanted to be closer to nature. So now we're living in northern New Hampshire, much smaller population, less development, and when I walk outside my door, I am in the middle of nature with all of the beauty and all of the quiet, and it's not reproducible in many places. This is unique, and this is what I love. So 20 years ago, when I became involved with the wind energy debate, I was not in the minority. I, along with all the environmentalists that I was aware of and conservationists, were very concerned that the precautionary principle was the priority when it came to building any kind of development, whether it was a subdivision or a power plant or anything. It was the burden of the developer to make sure that whatever work was being done, the environment was considered and the harms associated with that development were avoided or minimized.
Hey guys, good to see you. Thank you for joining the call. Rob, nice to meet you. Eric, Lisa. Lisa, do you want to just kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Michael, and thank you everyone for being here. What I want to do is introduce the team that's been working on investigating whale deaths and activity related to offshore winds. And Rob, you and I have worked together for a long time. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Rob Rand. I'm an environmental scientist specializing in acoustics. I've been working in that field since 1980 and have provided input to NRDC on naval low-frequency sonar and also worked with the Ocean Mammal Institute.
Rob Rand is going to be conducting noise studies out there, actually collecting the sonar coming off these boats.
Thanks, Rob. So you guys finished. The research is done.
The research is done, and just to give everyone an understanding of where we're coming from, the genesis of this whole study dates back to several months ago in December and January. There was a significant uptick in whale deaths occurring in New Jersey and New York, and the public started to become very concerned that there was a relationship between those deaths and offshore wind activity that was happening in that same ocean area. Roughly 350 whales have died along the East Coast since 2016, including humpbacks, minke, and North Atlantic right whales. And what's happening with the wind industry is they are conducting high-resolution geophysical studies to map the land under the water in preparation for projects. The uptick truly happened beginning in 2016. There was a slight dip in deaths in 2022, and in the first 6 months of 2023, so just half the year, we've had roughly 40 plus whales have died.
It's amazing and depressing.
Here we are 20 years later, a massive shift in thinking. The precautionary principle is no longer the priority, especially when it comes to wind energy and renewable energy. The priority has been overwhelmed by the urgency to resolve the climate change issue. We want to get to the point where get the steel in the ground, get the turbines up and running, get the power plant built and off of fossil fuel so that we can save the planet. But in the process, the natural environment is being sacrificed. We're never going to get those areas back if we're allowed to proceed. And that's just untenable to me. I don't know what it will take to change, but that's where we are. And I don't know if the public generally knows that, but that is what's happening right now.
So if we look at early part, December 2016 through 6 months later into May of 2017, as you can see, there's like traffic, a few whales here and there. But as you can see in this lease area south of Martha's Vineyard, there's really no traffic at all. If we go now, this is January to May 2019, and boom, this is the whole New York Bight all the way out, as you can see. Lots of traffic, lots of whale strandings and deaths, or whale deaths.
It's only when they started going into the wind lease areas that we believe that the whales are dying.
So those red dots are whale deaths.
Right, precisely. So finally, this is the one that is from the most recent. So we just compared same times year over year. So this is October 21 to February of 2022. And then when we switch, we see all this lease area traffic, and we've got all of these whale deaths. These are the ones that just happened, and like Lisa said, precipitated this study.
What a scandal. I mean, just appalling behavior by many, many people that knew better or should have known better. I appreciate your caveat that we're going to have, that they're not suggesting causality, but it's impossible to look at these correlations and not imagine there's some connection. Fantastic work, guys. Your labor is really evident, and it's really paid off. I'm so happy and grateful that you guys did this.
Awesome. This is exciting.
Yeah, very good work. I love you guys. Appreciate this.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Very appreciate it.
Bye.
Great to meet you all. Thank you.
Do you play all these
Yes, yeah. But one of the things working on noise, especially with wind turbines, is it's driven me into a spiritual practice.
So what is that?
This is a CD. It's a deep relaxation CD, and I made it after a meditation vision in my studio back in early 2008. I was wondering, what would the sound be like that would help people get more relaxed? And then I had a meditation vision, and when the vision was done, I grabbed my gear and I went out to record sound, the sound of surf, because I heard a very slow sound of surf, which sounded like breathing, and recorded that. And then I made the other sounds that I'd heard during the vision and combined them. And
Do you remember the sounds?
oh, I very distinctly. I still remember them. I still remember the vision. I got imprinted. It was wild. These are things that they're not explainable.
Wow.
Yeah.
So have you done anything else since this?
Oh, I've done all kinds of things.
But-
Yeah, I've got a new CD that I'm just about ready. I have to master it. So this is at Reed State Park.
Really? It has ocean?
This is ocean.
Is this high tide or low tide?
Half tide.
What is that? Did you make that? Is that you playing?
Yeah, I mean, they're all out there too. Yeah, they're all out.
There's a number out.
Yeah.
It's not like we're looking for a unicorn.
Yeah.
As soon as there's a few.
It's amazing. This is exactly where we catch tuna fish in the summer.
Yeah.
There's a lump here. The whales and the birds, the sand eels stack in here. It's like SeaWorld.
Yeah.
We're about 28 nautical miles east of Barnegat Light. We saw a couple whales breach. There's a handful of them here in different sizes. We noticed them. Right now we're about 5 miles, 6 miles from 2 different survey ships that are right in this direction here and there. And as a whale just breaches in there, another whale right there, 2 just breached. Just a few degrees this way is 1 survey ship, and whatever, maybe 40-some degrees, get another survey ship there, both 5-6 miles away.
You're going to put these wind turbines in, it's going to disrupt the bottom. No matter what kind of marine life you affect, it's going to all affect it all together because they're all intertwined.
Marine biologists that I've talked with over the years talk about avoidance and aversion, and that doesn't seem to be accounted for in the NOAA and BOEM paperwork that I've seen so far. They don't make the connection between a loud noise in the water and species moving away from that noise. And that's a problem because they don't have the fat stores to run around forever trying to get away from the noise. If the calf gets separated from the mother, what I understand is both of them start stressing a lot. And it doesn't take long for them to die. It's a very deadly situation. The calf needs the mother for food. The mother's trying to raise the calf. So the mother will expend energy to try to find the calf, will raise the vocalization level, will look around for the calf, it'll swim to its last position. All of these things have been documented. But at some point, both the mother and the calf run out of energy. At that point, if they're close enough to shore, maybe they beach and you find them. If they're out here, they die and they sink.
There's certain personalities, they're like all in or all out. I tend to be that kind of person where it's like, keep doing it until you're done. Don't stop. And gets a little bit obsessive. The public at large, I believe, I was one of them, believed that the environmental movement was always there. Their first priority was protecting wildlife. And what we see is they're right there, ready to protect the wildlife, and have successfully stopped gas pipelines from being built. They've successfully stopped power plants from being built. But when it comes to offshore wind, renewable energy in general, they're not stepping up for the wildlife.
Officials at Robert Moses Beach are trying to handle a situation where they beached a whale this morning. This is an area just off of field number 5. And we can see the whale on the beach, officials on the scene as well.
So NOAA has a network of organizations that have a responsibility for going out investigating any kind of marine mammal stranding or death. And when we were investigating and looking into the money trail, we found that members of that network are actually taking money directly from the wind industry. The Atlantic Marine Conservation Society caught our attention.
So Atlantic Marine Conservation Society is working with New York State Parks, the New York State DEC, and NOAA Fisheries to examine a humpback whale that washed ashore. This humpback whale is approximately 28 feet long, and it is a juvenile male. And our team is doing an exam, so we record any evidence of human interaction, any evidence of infectious disease to determine why it might have died.
That organization, sometime around 2020, 2021, they had a change in their board of directors. And it went from a few people that seemed dedicated to the effort to the president of the board, Paul Tana, is the lead lobbyist for Equinor, a wind developer. You go down the list further, you come to Sammy Chu. He is a distributed energy developer. Jennifer DuPont, Strategic Environmental Affairs Manager, Equinor. She is the government affairs person for advocating for Equinor in front of federal and state governments. It goes on and on. About half of the board of the Atlantic Marine Conservation Society appears to benefit from the development of offshore wind. And this is the organization that is responsible for investigating whale deaths that have been happening off the coast of New York.
Atlantic Marine Conservation Society has responded to 85 whales since we started in 2017. There is wind energy surveys and projects being sited offshore of New York, and some are in development right now. All I can really say is that right now, the examinations that we've done haven't brought any evidence forward that there's no connection between the two. Climate change is going to be one of the biggest issues these animals are facing as the oceans warm and, things change. We need to make sure that we're continuing to document what happens to these animals when they strand and make sure that the renewable energy in any form is at a forefront, because that will help climate change.
That is the boat. If you want to put the drift sock in and try here, you want to go a little closer?
Let's bring it to a dead stop. Well, they'll come right in front, so we'll just sit right here.
Holy shit, man. Are you kidding me? It sounds like they're like on someone pile driving. And it's not pile driving, it's boom, 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 boom. It's like a drum beat, huh?
What does that do? Just bounce off the bottom for them?
Yeah.
So they can just measure the bottom, right?
Yeah. So they send out a pulse and they get a reflection back.
And that gives them how much rock depth and stuff like that? Like sediment in the bottom for them?
Yeah, I think they can see layers. They can see the top of the mud or whatever's down there, and then they can see down through it. They're getting peak readings of about 150 decibels or so. It's very loud. It's very, very loud. 160 is roughly 100, give or take, on land. So if you had 100 dB coming onto your property at your house, there'd be a lawsuit so fast it would make their heads swim. I mean, that's loud. And it's 24 hours a day, so it's day and night. Let's see if I can just start playing this. So this is off of Maui, about 2/3 of a mile, I think we were out that far. And
Hundreds of whales?
Hundreds of whales.
So that's a whole civilization of whales versus the few North Atlantic right whales.
Yeah. So this is a healthy population. They're all communicating. Lots of communication going on. These are right whale calls. So let's see if I can get into this area here.
You could play it for us?
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, now we'll hear a whale in a second. It's just going to make a call. That's the fundamental, and those are the harmonics of the call. The whale's about a mile away. Yeah, but they're very sparse compared to adult humpbacks in Hawaii. This is a critically endangered species, very few of them. We were very fortunate. We got out there were 12 whales in the vicinity where we went, and we were able to make some recordings.
I don't see where the North Atlantic right whale will survive offshore wind. With less than 350 on the planet today, and this tremendous industrialization of their area.
What I've got in my report is a description of the survey.
It's just the general interest in going out to see if we could measure an exploratory sonar vessel. And so there's a picture of the vessel there. It had a calibrated hydrophone that we would drop into the water. First, we went to 2 nautical miles, and then to 1 nautical mile, and then to a half nautical mile.
And you measured in each one of those locations?
In each one. As soon as I got the hydrophone in the water at 2 nautical miles, I could hear the ship. I could hear banging. I could hear the ship noise.
Can you play that?
I think I can play that.
Wow, that is louder than I thought it would be. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is no one can survive in that. You're gonna run away from that. Half a nautical mile away from a sound source, and if this were in air, it would be equivalent to roughly 90 decibels.
90 decibels. It'd be like a loud weapon. To hear it at 90 dB at a kilometer, that's a loud weapon. And what I'm seeing is troubling. What I'm seeing are levels that are above the limit which NOAA itself set to be protective, at distances which are much higher than were granted in the incidental harassment authorization. So to me, it looks like an absolute breakdown of regulatory protection for the right whale. And we only looked at one vessel. There are many vessels out there.
NOAA's chief of protected species, a gentleman by the name of Sean Hayes, had sent a letter to BOEM. He expresses significant concern over the development of offshore wind in the southern New England waters. And his letter in particular pertains to the North Atlantic right whale and the risks there. So this is May 13, 2022. He expresses a number of reasons, but one that he really focuses on is the wave effect of the turbines. So when the turbines are spinning, it creates a turbulence on the back end of it. The concern is that it's going to destroy the plankton, which is what the whales feed on. If that dies off, that area is not a feeding ground anymore for the North Atlantic right whale, which right now it's estimated less than 340 individuals remaining on the planet. There aren't many places where the North Atlantic right whale can go. And when there's so few left on the planet, it's destined to extinction. But then he makes a statement that is so extraordinary. Unlike vessel traffic and noise, which would be related to the construction work, which can be mitigated to some extent, oceanographic impacts from installed and operating turbines cannot be mitigated for the 30-year lifespan of the project unless they are decommissioned. And yet here we are, moving forward with building the projects. So according to Sean Hayes, he makes a very clear statement that we need to impose a buffer area, a no turbine zone around the Nantucket Shoals in order to protect the North Atlantic right whale. And BOEM has said no. They have made a decision that the priority is the economics of the project over protecting the right whale. And NOAA apparently does not have the teeth to stop that. If BOEM chooses to look past the requirements under the Endangered Species Act and have these projects be built, it would appear that they're in violation of the Endangered Species Act. In the period between August 2017 and August 2018, 7 North Atlantic right whales died around Martha's Vineyard in that area in southern New England waters. This is roughly equivalent to 2% of the population of the right whale, of which is less than 350 remaining. If we were talking about humans, 2% of the human population will represent 160 million people. So it's a huge dent on a very small population of a critically endangered species.
We'll see if we can move our boat out of the way so these guys can. Okay, we're good.
So where's the open ocean? There?
It's straight out that way. See there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's open ocean right there. We get harbor porpoise. We get, I think we got minke whale in here.
Okay, I've never seen a whale in the flesh, in the wild.
Yeah, see how this water is all flat? See the bubbles?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably a whale under there. The giveaway is the birds. They love them.
What the United States is looking at is thousands of wind turbines standing 1,000 feet tall, and massive blades spinning in an area where the whales, our dolphins, our marine life, where they live, where they migrate, where they breed. It's at a level that we can't even understand now what the impacts will be. And when we're dealing with a critically endangered whale that is on the verge of extinction, which is the North Atlantic right whale, our laws do not support the level of development that's going to happen within the right whale's habitat. The whale lives nearly full time. You know, they do migrate, but many of them do stay in southern New England waters year round. And that's a problem. Problem for the whales, problem for the wind developers. But apparently, it's more a problem for the whales.